Dark Universe may just be the most interesting world coming to Universal's newest theme park, Epic Universe. Rather than being based on a more modern franchise, Dark Universe is instead meant to act as a modern adaptation of the classic Universal monster movies like Dracula and Frankenstein from 1931. This land is where those stories really happened, and where the monsters continue to haunt the gloomy village of Darkmoor. Before entering this village, guests will make their way through the entry portal and into the Darkmoor Cemetery. This cemetery will feature upended tombstones and twisted roots, providing an ominous aura for those entering the land. Passing through that cemetery, guests will come face to face with a decaying mole person displayed in a cage near the entrance of the village. Finally, guests will make their way into the village of Darkmoor, with dark energy flowing through the shops and houses of the land. This dark energy is summoned by the tower atop the land's entry portal, leading into the notorious Frankenstein Manor. This energy is essential for Dr. Victoria Frankenstein's latest experiments, which we'll dive deeper into later in this video. For now, just know that guests will spot plenty of monsters throughout this land, like the aforementioned Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Phantom of the Opera. All of this will make for one of the scariest lands Universal has ever built, with a total of 2 rides and plenty more to discover. In this video, I'll be breaking down everything you can find at Dark Universe when it opens in 2025, including official details from Universal and the occasional rumor from Theme Park Stop. For more videos like this, be sure to watch the rest of this series, and with all that said, let's take a closer look at Dark Universe. Throughout the village of Darkmoor, guests will be able to visit 2 different attractions at 2 different thrill levels. The first and less thrilling of those attractions is Curse of the Werewolf, a family spinning roller coaster. On this ride, you'll traverse the werewolf-infested forest on the outskirts of Darkmoor. Here, guests will encounter Maleva, the leader of the Guild of Mystics, who informs guests that they bear the curse of the werewolf. From there, the ride will launch guests out into the woods, where werewolves will chase their train into a gloomy shed. This shed will feature 2 werewolf figures overhead, and a swing launch that pushes guests forwards, backwards, and forwards again into the rest of the layout. This moment should be where the ride reaches its top speed of 37 miles per hour, which should feel even more thrilling when paired with the free spinning ride vehicle. All that said, this ride should be a big hit, especially with its minimum height requirement of 40 inches. However, the real star of the show is right next door in Frankenstein Manor. That ride is Monsters Unchained: The Frankenstein Experiment, an intense new dark ride that Universal calls their most terrifying yet. On this ride, guests are invited to witness the experiments of Dr. Victoria Frankenstein, who is the great-great-granddaughter of the original Dr. Henry Frankenstein. In order to avenge her family name, Dr. Victoria Frankenstein plans to take control of all the Universal monsters, with many of them already having been captured in her lab. Universal has confirmed a variety of these monsters already, including Frankenstein and his bride, Dracula and his brides, the creature from the Black Lagoon, the Wolfman, the Mummy, and even the Phantom of the Opera. Each of these monsters should be brought to life with at least one animatronic figure, with Dracula, Creature, Wolfman, and Frankenstein already having been shown off. One of these Frankenstein animatronics should be seen in the ride's pre-show, with the figures standing at over 9 feet in height and weighing over 800 pounds. Other animatronics have been confirmed as well, such as the Phantom of the Opera, who will have an organ that shoots fire over 3 feet in the air. In total, Universal says there should be 14 animatronics in the attraction, although it's unclear whether or not that includes the one Frankenstein animatronic seen in the pre-show. As for the ride itself, the ride system will be nearly identical to the one found on Harry Potter and the Forbidden Journey, with 2 key differences. The first is that the seating should be attached to the Kuka arm system on the bottom of the seat rather than the back. That should allow for different and more unique movements throughout the attraction. The second key difference will be the openness of the seat, which allows guests to see more of the environment around them. With that said, the ride shouldn't feature any of the simulated sections found on Forbidden Journey, instead using screens to heighten the environment in different ways. Once you make your way through the catacombs under Frankenstein Manor, you'll join Dr. Victoria Frankenstein as she attempts to tame the most powerful monster of all, Dracula. Unfortunately, that plan goes awry as Dracula breaks free from her control, leading a revolt of monsters to rise up against her. The ride should be filled to the brim with crazy effects, with Universal even claiming that guests will be able to feel monsters breathing on them. All that said, this attraction should be technologically advanced and truly terrifying, bringing to life the catacombs underneath the village of Darkmoor. Speaking of those catacombs, underneath the village lies an entirely different world that's incredibly important to the story of the land. These catacombs are where the vampires live, connected to the world above through a well at the center of the land. This well is where the vampires and their familiars transport blood down to the rest of the population. Along with that, the vampires have also created an establishment within the village of Darkmoor. This place, called Das Stakehaus, is a quick service restaurant that should feature a menu of kebabs, burgers, sandwiches, ribs, and plenty more. It's also meant to act as an inn and diner for the vampire population, where their familiars will scope out patrons that could join the vampires' feast. Throughout the establishment, guests will find artwork and artifacts straight from the vampire world, depicting them as heroes through their point of view. According to the creative director of Universal Creative, the world of vampires is extremely political, with stakings happening between vampires all the time. In Dark Universe, a staking will cause a vampire to freeze rather than turning into dust, which may be a practical change that allows Universal to achieve these stakings in the park. That last part is pure speculation on my part, but it would be interesting to see these elements of the vampire world come to life here at Das Stakehaus. Further outside the village, the Burning Blade Tavern is a place where monster hunters come and convene. These monster hunters, also known as hounds, will regale tales of their adventures by parading trophies around the tavern. As for the food, this quick service restaurant will feature a menu of burgers, wings, bratwurst, pretzels, and a variety of specialty beverages. On the outside, the windmill atop the restaurant has a special feature that should be a sight to behold. According to Universal, this windmill should burst into flames every 20 minutes, with a short 90-second pre-show taking place before this occurs. A bell will ring inside the village, letting people know that monsters have been spotted. This will cause a crowd to form outside the tavern, leading to the windmill's eventual explosion of flame. This show should be amazing, with Universal promising the burning blades will be visible both at night and during the day. Outside of those two restaurants, this land will also have an additional snack stand called Lacey's Cottage. This cottage is where the original Universal monsters once received food and friendship, with Universal stating the menu will include cinnamon bread, ice cream, twisted taters, and more. Heading deeper into the village, this land will also include the Darkmoor monster makeup experience, which sees skilled artists transforming guests into their own Universal monster. This experience is meant to carry on the legacy of Dr. Pretorius, who pushed Henry Frankenstein to continue his experiments in the original story. In fact, the experience is said to take place within his former laboratory. Elsewhere in Darkmoor, Universal says there will be a variety of shopping locations. One of these confirmed locations is Pretorius' Scientific Oddities, which is said to feature a variety of commemorative merchandise and mementos. Otherwise, nothing is yet to be confirmed, although we have seen some merchandise pop up already at the Epic Universe Preview Center. One final experience we have to touch on is the variety of meet and greets on offer in this land. According to Universal, guests will be able to meet Frankenstein's monster and his bride, along with Victoria Frankenstein's servant, Igor. Along with that, guests should also encounter the Invisible Man, a variety of monster hunters, and a musician who regales guests with songs about the village. While they weren't specifically mentioned by Universal, there should also be vampires throughout the land as well, or at the very least just in the Das Stakehaus restaurant. Finally, before we wrap things up, there was a rumor reported on a while ago from Theme Park Stop of an expansion themed to the creature of the Black Lagoon. This indoor boat ride would be located in the back of the land, likely focusing more on theming than getting guests wet. This rumor hasn't been discussed for a while now, so it's uncertain if it's still in the works. However, considering the plot of land is still available for expansion, it's possible that Universal could decide to use it in the future, whether it's for the boat ride or not. With all that said, that's everything we know about Universal's Dark Universe. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next closer look, and be sure to check out the last episode all about Super Nintendo World. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you all next time.